Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. So we've got Championship and Premier League football going on. We've got the reviews of last week's games and the preview of this week's games. Transfer news, it's all here. Before we get going, please do like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop any reviews you want to drop, and just generally share the podcast around. Right, here we go. Let's get started. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Welcome, one and all, to your weekly fix of the top two divisions of English football. So, we're not covering in full, just the teams we actively care about, and maybe at the end have a little bit of a laugh at Man United. But we'll get to that in no uncertain terms. Welcome along. It is your football chatter for the week. We'll open the chat with obviously the transfer window still being open, so we'll do a little bit of business just before we get into the predictions and the results from last week. So starting Middlesbrough's transfer business, there's been a one in, one out this week with the signing on a season-long loan of Alex Mowat, who's joined the club from West Bromwich Albion. He went straight to the squad and played a little bit of the game against Sheffield United on the weekend and started the game against Stoke. So we'll come on to that in a moment. But there is one person who's left the club on a permanent basis. It is striker Uche Ikpeazu, who was left on a permanent deal to join Turkish side Konyaspor, which ultimately means that, given another transfer window, he will end up at Hull City. Yep. Apparently, it's been doing. There's no confirmation on the Borough website, but apparently the deal is zero money up front. But Konyaspor have inserted a 20% sell-on clause, so Borough may recoup some money if they do get a fee for him in the future. I don't know if there's any ins or outs at Hull, so I'll let Mr. Woodmansey do that in a minute. But I do know there are some Forest transfer news, Matt. If you got that in front of you, if you want to go through that, or I can do it if you want.
Yeah, so he signed in a flurry on Sunday evening, because for whatever reason Forest need to do a big fancy reveal video for each player now, which just fucking announce a player. It's dead simple.
You've got to spend that Premier League money on the media team.
Oh, honestly, I mean, if the amount of effort goes into the team as they put into their social media announcements goes for each team, then top of the league. So the first one announced was live in a video from Rock City, Nottingham, music venue, very nice. Was Emmanuel Dennis for 20 million from Watford, so Nigerian striker. It's one of them ones where you think, okay, then he played for a club that went down last season, but then scored 10 goals, I think, and was involved in quite a few. Second one announced was Cheikh Kouyaté on a free after he was left Palace. And then the last one, Remo Fular, who also got the big licks in some kind of orchestral kind of thing, because apparently his nickname is the Conductor, for somewhere between, I've seen 7 million to 11 million in terms of that. So 2 midfielders and a striker. And then out, I think I've mentioned this before, and then I've definitely mentioned it to you guys on the text. So Joe Lolly was told at the start of the season that he was surplus to requirements and sent to go and train with the under-23s, which I didn't like. I don't like that. I find it if a player is disruptive and not contributing anything worthwhile to the team, then send them away to not be part of the first team. But I thought it was a bit it lacked a bit of class doing that to him, but he has a free transfer to Sydney. I don't know if they've got like an additional name, but Sydney in the Australian Football League or whatever it is down there, for free. I presume, from what I've read, is that he had offers in the Championship, but it was a pay-as-you-play deal. And if anyone's seen the past 2 or 3 seasons, he's not going to get paid if he goes with a pay-as-you-play kind of deal. So I think he's probably gone with the guaranteed money in Australia for a 2-year contract. And hopefully, if it is a lot warmer than here, so maybe the sun on his bones and his muscles might keep him a little bit fitter than what he's managed to do at Forest. I think it's a shame. He was the Forest Player of the Season a couple of seasons back. Some cracking goals, some like really talented player. It's just kind of got away from him a little bit. But yeah, he'll be pitting his wits against such Goliaths of the game like Jack Rodwell, Adam Lafondra, and Nani, who is apparently still rocking around in Australian. I was going to say Aussie football, but that's something completely different that none of those players would ever last 5 seconds in. Could you imagine Jack Rodwell in playing actual Aussie rules football?
If somebody said to you that you can stay here and train with the under-23s until your time runs out, or you can get paid to go to Australia, I think I know which one I'd take, so blame him for it.
There's an awful lot of Australia. There's an awful lot of stuff in Australia that can kill you. So I'll stay here, thanks.
There's an awful lot of stuff in Nottingham that could kill you. So.
I feel like we need to swiftly move on. So we'll see. He's just mentioned it there, but we'll come to Mr. Woodmansey. Any confirmed stuff at Hull?
Are you ready? No. Let's move on. Nothing for us. No, it's all still potential stuff that's up in the air. Potential that there might be 3 signings before the weekend. So watch this space is the current line from the club.
Fair enough. So we come on to last week's football predictions. There were 5 games in total. 2 league games apiece for Hull and Middlesbrough, and just the 1 for Nottingham Forest, as they've gone on to a better place where Monday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Tuesday, and Sunday, Wednesday football is no longer a thing. So we started on Saturday in the East Riding, or Humberside, if you will, with Hull City taking on Norwich City. Mr. Woodmansey, how did this one go down?
Much better than I expected, that's for sure. So, final score was Hull City 2, Norwich City 1. Goals in the 43rd and 62nd minute from Oscar Estepinian, and then a consolation, I guess, for Nunes in the 72nd minute for Norwich. I'm assuming you guys might have seen the highlights possibly on the EFL catch-up and what have you. I mean, the Hull goals were pretty scrappy, but it's been a long time since we've had somebody that will poach a goal in the box, and seemingly Big Oscar has taken to that rather well, so hopefully we'll see a little bit more of him doing more of that as the season goes on.
Was it the first goal that the Norwich guys tried to clear it, and he's clattered it straight into his own man?
Yep.
And the Pina just collected it and just tucked it away.
Not only, not when it happens to your team, but generally when it's somebody else's team, you love to see it in the fact of, I think it was possibly their right back went to clear it straight into the stones of their centre half, because the guy was on the deck holding himself as Hull scored the first. But yeah, you can have a look at the stats from the game. I think Norwich had something like 70% possession, so it was definitely heavily weighted in their favour in that regard. But we've been here before. the important bits, the ones that actually go in. So I thought we'd get absolutely spanked. So I will quite happily accept those 3 points with open arms.
Absolutely. I believe it was an ex-Hull manager, Mr. McCann, which said they can have the possession, I'll take the 3 points. Yeah. Thank you very much. And away we go. So, from a predictions perspective, I had a 1-1 draw and both Stuart and Matt had a 2-1 Norwich win. Only one man had the sense and sensibility and thoughtfulness to back one of the podcast teams, and he doesn't even support them. So well done, Mr. Andrew Cook, with the 1-0 prediction. So a point there for Andy for the result. From a goal scorer's perspective, I was the only one who got a point on this, as I was the only one to pick Estupinian for Hull, and none of us had the Nunez goal for Norwich City. So that is 1 point for myself and 1 point for Andy. No points for Stuart or Matt. We move on to the Sunday games and the first home Premier League game for 20. I've already lost count. 23 years. 23 years.
You've lost count. Have you not been watching? Did you not watch Sky Sports News at any point?
We didn't get back from our. I don't even know what we did. We did something, and we didn't get back in time early enough for me to catch the full build-up.
Oh, you didn't.
So
you didn't need to. You didn't
the full build-up started on Thursday. Sky Sports News.
On Sky Sports News for yeah.
Did you see that stuff, Matt, that they were doing where it was like, here's a taxi driver in Nottingham, and he was just picking up random people that were like famous or slightly famous related to Nottingham, and it started off as being like ex-players, so you're thinking, okay, fair enough, and then it's like some random guy that was in Game of Thrones, which I've actually not seen, so shoot me now, and it seemingly like it got further and further away from the point they were trying to make for every passenger that he picked up.
I saw that. It was a bit weird. Like, obviously, it was. I think it started with Ken Clark, the ex-MP, and you kind of fair enough. Yeah, he was kind of Chancellor of the Exchequer and all that kind of thing, and quite fit. And then it's Frank Clark. Obviously, you kind of think, all right, fine. And yeah, the game, obviously, Game of Thrones guy. I haven't watched it either, so therefore, I was just like, yeah, great. You could have had anybody. You could have had James Dean Bradfield, like Manic Street Preachers lead singer. Could have had Stuart Broad, who is quite famously a Nottingham Forest fan. What's his name? One of the Doctor Who's, the tall guy, Matt Smith. Yeah, he's one. I think the lead singer of Travis is a Forest fan as well. There were a lot of people to go through before you got to Hobbit, Game of Thrones, God knows what guy, sat in a Forest tracky top that I was like, no, who's this guy? And he sat in the back of the car, and then, because obviously I don't want to be like old man kind of sat there kind of thing, he started like twittering on about stuff, and I'm thinking, all right, this lad's not been through, he's been through some stuff, but he's not been through anything really, kind of thing. And, oh yeah, it was a bit rubbish when this happened. You're like, no, mate, no. And yeah, it was the most pointless thing ever. Yeah.
Enough about the build-up. How did the actual game itself go?
I think it was a pretty kind of dominant Forest display kind of thing. I think it was that. I think by kind of what I've seen and kind of like listening to it, it sounds like the similar kind of thing as to last season, where at home it's the home atmosphere. It's kind of go out, attack really hard, and then obviously away games it's a bit more kind of closed shot kind of thing. But yeah, lots of chances, lots of attacking. There are a few chances. We kind of had a bit of discussion from it. So West Ham scored first, but then it was chalked off VAR because Paul would say that it was a contentious decision. I would suggest that Mikel Antonio was in trials for going on the O-line of an NFL team with the block that he put in on Niakate, I think, or Mangala. Forest then scored through new record. Well, he was still record signing at the time, no longer record signing. Ioane through. I mean, the build-up was lovely. The goal, however, was lucky, shall we say? And then Forest had a goal chalked off for VAR, which Brennan Johnson was offside. But that seemed to happen a lot through the game. It seemed to be, Brennan Johnson offside. Declan Rice also missed a penalty towards the end, and then there's been pictures afterwards where Jesse Lingard was pointing to Dean Henderson as to which way to dive for Rice's penalty. So game ends 1-0 to Forest with 3 points down, 9 to go to get to the magic 12. So
we joked at the start of the season that this would be the Countdown to 12 podcast. It's now the countdown. It's 3 down, 9 to go podcast. But yes, like Matt said there, slightly contentious game. I didn't see an awful lot wrong in the body check, but
you just said it, body check.
Yeah, but as Graham Souness said on Sunday, it's a man's game. I mean, this was literally men playing a game, so his statement was factually accurate. Fair enough. There was excessive force in it and stuff like that. But what else is he supposed to do? He's a tank at the end of the day. If he runs at someone, they're gonna fall over like that. So,
well, you've got to do something to try and not run into the person. He's full on.
It's not Antonio's fault that he just happened to run into the space that was occupied by another human being. So, but yes, the game finishes 1-0 with Awoniyi as the scorer. Stu had a 2-1 West Ham win with Lingard to score the goal from Forest and Bowen and Antonio to score the goals for for West Ham. So unfortunately, Stu ends up with no points from that game. Matt had gone for a 2-2 draw, but he did have Awoniyi to score. So there's a point there. He dragged a point back. Andrew Cook, he's on it this week. 2-0 Forest win. So he gets a point for the result. However, he did have Johnson and Taylor to score the goals. So no points there for the goal scorers. I mean, we could play around with VAR disallowed goals, but then we're starting to get into sketchy, muddy territories there. I had Jesse Lingard to score in a 1-0 Nottingham Forest win. So no points for the goal scorer, but 2 points for the correct score. Running total, therefore, we have Stuart on no points, Matthew on 1 point, Andy on 2 points, and myself on 3 points. We move to the northeast, and my beloved Middlesbrough taking on Sheffield United in a battle of current and former clubs for the manager Chris Wilder. This did not start well at all, as Middlesbrough were 1-0 down within 3 minutes as Sander Berg scored a goal, which was probably quite avoidable. He was allowed to turn and then roll. I think it was potentially Anthony Dijksdale. I can't remember. It might have been Dale Fry. But then just passed the ball into the corner of the net. Not good, not great. They did manage to get themselves back on level terms with a Chuba Akpom strike in the first half. They then fell behind to what was possibly one of the worst goals I've ever seen scored by a Middlesbrough player, as the ball was sent low across the old corridor of uncertainty, to which Ryan Giles was in the middle of the goal, and as he's a left footer, tried his best to swing his right foot at it to just clear it out of danger, and just smashed it straight in the back of the net. The keeper had no chance. And then to salvage a draw, Chubarak pops up with about 10 minutes to go with a lovely bullet header at the back stick to salvage a point. And very entertaining game. The first Borough equaliser was such a well-worked goal. I'd like the little sort of triangle of passes on the right-hand side. Paddy McNair slipped the ball back into the corridor for Isaiah Jones to run onto, and he just slipped it across, and Akpom stuck it away. From a predictions perspective, I had a 1-0 Middlesbrough win with Marcus Fors to get the goal. No points there. Stu had a 2-0 Sheffield United win with Norwood and Njai to score the goals. No points there. Mr. Cook had a 2-0 Middlesbrough home win with Watmore and Crooks to score the goals. No points there. Matt Crooks actually missed the game with an illness, so no chance of getting a goal scorer there. However, Mr. Moore, 2-2 draw. That's 2 points right there. He had Crooks, again, missed the game, and Fors to score. I think Marcus Fors had about 4 touches in the game total. Not his best game. He also had Norwood to score for Sheffield United. No points there. He did, however, have Berg to score a goal for Sheffield United, so he picks up another point, so 3 points just from that one game from Mr. Moore. Running tally for the week. Mr. Woodmansey still to get off the mark with 0 points. We then have Mr. Cook on 2 points, myself on 3 points, Mr. Moore taking an early lead with 4 points. We move to the midweek games. We had Burnley taking on Hull City. I refer back to you, Mr. Woodmansey. How did this one go? I didn't see bits of this on Sky Sports News.
Yeah, I was actually in the car at the time, so I had the benefit of listening to the commentary, and it sounded frantic for the first maybe 15 minutes or so. They'd just remarked how the game had settled down and Burnley had kind of taken a grip on it, and then Hull scored. So it came from a throw. The move was started off with a throw in our own half. Header flicked on into the path of a charging Tufan, who then ran pretty much almost half of the pitch and then tucked it away very neatly into the bottom, his bottom right hand corner. It was a nice finish actually when I've seen it back. Kind of felt like that was maybe the game plan after the initial period of ping pong, was just to maybe shut up shop and try and hit them on the break. And unfortunately from that point on it didn't really quite work. Again, another game whereby City were outclassed in the statistics department for sure, but they managed to keep themselves in front for about 10 minutes, and then Jay Rodriguez scored an equaliser. But it did remain 1-1, keeping Hull unbeaten in the league, so I'll quite happily take that. And a point on the road against a relegated Premier League side, so again, could be worse.
Well, like you said, obviously they got the 3 points against another relegated side on Saturday. So you'd say 4 points from 6, when you arguably were probably thinking you were going to get 0, is a bit of a bonus there.
I think the only kind of, I was going to say the only kind of bad news is we're still waiting on a bit of injury news for Alias Sayed-Manesh, depending on what he's done to his hamstring, because it could be a bit of a lengthy spell out, that one, if it's deemed bad.
Yeah, I did. I think we actually texted in the group and said that at some point it did look as if he pulled up in the second half, and you could see that it was just straight away his leg went to his hamstring area and it looked great. I think they took him straight off though, didn't they? So
he also managed to perform a classic bit of shithousery by being off the. He kind of pulled his hamstring, a hand went straight to the hamstring, and he kind of hobbled towards the advertising hoarding, but then gently managed to hobble himself back onto the pitch and lie down on the pitch. So obviously, waste a bit of time, make sure they got time to warm somebody up. I was like, classic. I mean, Clinton Morrison absolutely butchered his name on Sky Sport. Kind of, he had like the soccer special on, and he's like, yeah.
That guy's fantastic.
So, predictions-wise, Mr. Cook had a 1-0 Hull win with Estepinian to score the goal. It was just a couple of days too late. So no points there for Mr. Cook, sadly. Both myself and Stu had 2-0 Burnley wins. So no goal scorers for Hull, no points there for us. And neither of us had Rodriguez to score the Burnley goal. Mr. Moore had a 2-1 Burnley home win. Sadly, he did have the aforementioned Syed Manesh to get the Hull goal. And he had Barnes or Cullen down for the Burnley goal. So again, no points there for anybody. So the points remain the same. 0 for Stu after 4 games still. 2 points for Andy, 3 for myself, and 4 for Matt. We roll in to the last game of the week, and it took place in Staffordshire, where Stoke City took on Middlesbrough. This is another game where Middlesbrough started like an absolute train, so we of course know what happens. Stoke take the lead. I believe it was Jacob Brown that scored the goal to get them 1-0 up. Didn't really see the goal. I think it was a bit of a break. Borough on the attack and Stoke managed the overload. Bit of a question mark over whether Isaiah Jones was fouled around the halfway line, but again, I've not seen it in full, so I can't really comment on it. Dwight Gale broke down the left-hand side, squared it into Brown's path, and he just stuck the ball away. So 1-0 to Stoke. The Middlesbrough equaliser came from Duncan Watmore. I'm just trying to think how the equaliser came now. I believe it was Isaiah Jones down the right-hand side who just got to the byline, cut the ball back, and Watmore just managed to flash the ball, lift it just nicely over the on-rushing keeper to make sure the ball ended up in the back of the net. We then went into the second half where Middlesbrough took the lead, which at the time looked like it was Watmore's second goal of the game, but it was later credited as a Phil Jagielka own goal. Again, lovely work down the left-hand side, this time by Ryan Giles, who sent the ball across. Watmore got the touch, but the last touch did indeed come off Phil Jagielka for the own goal and a Middlesbrough 2-1 lead. We then entered the 93rd minute, and as always, Middlesbrough managed to shoot themselves in the foot by letting a guy who's about 3 foot tall get himself in the box unmarked for a header. DiMaggio Wright Phillips. Now I think you might recognise that name from his famous father and grandfather. He is the son of Sean Wright Phillips and the grandson of Ian Wright. And one of my Middlesbrough sporting friends did say, how on earth have we allowed 3 generations of the same family to score goals against us, all in the space of the last 25 years? Which is absolutely true. But, what can we say? Middlesbrough just love dynasties. I don't know.
Take the positives. At least it wasn't the same game.
Do you know what? I love Ian Wright. Great pundit. Just like always comes across as a super nice guy. And the spell at Forest, I believe. I don't know if you went to go see any of the games that he would have played there.
Yeah, I saw him play at Port Vale. That's the only time I saw him play. And he trolled Alan Sugar the other day by wearing a pink shirt on Match of the Day because Alan Sugar had made some kind of comment about people wearing pink shirts.
That's twice that he's done him in the space of the last 2 months. So go on, Ian. Yes, from a predictions perspective, I had a 2-1 Middlesbrough win, so it was literally seconds away from a decent 2-point haul. I had Lewis Baker scoring off for Stu then, but no, for Stoke. Going off for Stoke. With Chuba Akpom and Matthew Hoppy to score the goals for Middlesbrough. Matthew Hoppy did not even get on the pitch, so there was no chance of that happening. Matt had a 2-1 Stoke win with Dwight Gale and Will Smallbone scoring the goals for Stoke. and Tube Ratpon scoring the goal for Borough. Oh, also forgot to mention that Tube Ratpon missed the game with an injury picked up against Sheffield United, so there was no chance of him scoring the goal. Mr. Cook had a 2-0 Middlesbrough win with Akpom and Fours to score the goals, so again, no points there. Sneaking in the 5th game of the week to score his first point, Mr. Woodmansey, 1-1 draw with Gale and Hoppy to score the goals. No points for the goal scorers, does get a point for the correct result, which means for the week, the predictions are as follows. Mr. Woodmansey manages to get himself off the mark with 1 solitary point from 5 games. Well done. Mr. Cook, 2 points from 5 games. Myself, 3 points from 5 games. Taking the win this week, Mr. Moore, 4 points from 5 games. Well done, sir. Big round of applause to you. Now, we've done quite a lot of games there. We've done the predictions for the roundup, the results from week 3. Before we dive into week 4, I'm feeling a little bit parched. I might have to just take a small refreshment break before we dive right in to week 4 on the predictions. But don't touch that dial. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Recording in progress.
That was good, wasn't it?
Well, for those of you just on the audio feed, you might have heard the dulcet tones of, I believe, Lee Hendry there, just giving us a breakdown of possibly.
And then he's come back again just for.
Oh, he's back again, old
yeah.
Lee. He's just doing a run-in. He's obviously the 5th guest on this week's podcast.
Trying to get his appearance fee in.
But yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all hydrated and refreshed as I currently am. So cheers to you all. We've done week 3's predictions. We've done week 3's scores. So that only leaves us with week 4's predictions to go through, and then you can all have your time back. You can have your evenings to yourselves. So we start in Stu's favourite place in the whole wide world, Merseyside. Yay! Where Everton will take on Nottingham Forest. I have gone for a 1-1 draw. I don't really know why I've picked this guy to score, because he hasn't started any games, potentially ever, for Everton. But I've gone for Rondon to score the goal for Everton, and our good friend Brennan Johnson to get the goal for Nottingham Forest. Mr. Woodmansey, your thoughts, please.
Same scoreline, different scorers.
What, you mean you haven't picked Salomon Rondon to not get a goal when Rafa Benitez in?
No, I have gone for Damari Gray for Everton, and he's got to get off the mark at some point just to give it the old celebration. So Jesse Lingard for Forest.
Don't do it. Matt did it last week. We don't need to see it. Stop it. Stop it. You don't, because he'll have you. He'll have you on like gimmick infringement and stuff like that. Mr. Cook.
I've gone very, very similar to you, Mr. Williams. Just chalk off that Everton goal. So 1-0 to Forest with Johnson to score. The
Podcast bingo cards are being filled in left, right, and centre. Go on then, Mr. Nottingham Forest. Give us the lowdown of just how many Everton are going to score in this win.
I'll just give you a quick side note for the Jesse Lingard thing. The West Ham fans, in their infinite wisdom, brought fake money to throw at him. When you think, so, I mean, that in its own sense, considering he apparently took less money than what they were prepared to pay for him. On top of that, they then threw it at Nico Williams because apparently they don't recognise someone who played for them for 16 games. So yeah. I've gone the same as Mr. Cook.
Ooh! Ladies and gentlemen, this must really be a new year and a new man, because he's not going for Forest to get pummeled week in, week out.
I mean, I'll go for for when Forest getting pummeled for teams who, so I think the next game's Tottenham. Possibly, it's Tottenham at home, I think. That'll be a bit of a pummeling. The week after that is, spoiler alert, Man City at the Etihad. So, get your abacus out ready for that one. Because I don't think I could do a score big enough. I think realistically, you've got to. What I hope it is that they've targeted games during the season that realistically you've got to win. So you want to win most, if not, you want to turn your in the Premier League. You want to turn your home games into like your home stadium into a fortress. Cliche. But then also when you go away, you want to kind of pick games to win. And I would sincerely hope that Forest have got this game circled to win, because that place it's not the most toxic place in the Premiership at the moment, but it's definitely been bubbling along for a long time. And I think if Forest can get on them early, then I think realistically, hopefully they could pick up a win there. So I've gone 1-0 Forest with Brennan Johnson scoring.
He's a popular boy this week. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. It's the sort of thing where the longer they can keep the game at 0-0, get the crowd on their back, it could turn the tide in Forest. Were you going to say something there, Stuart?
I was just going to agree as well. When I was looking at the squad lists to pick out the scorers for Everton, it kind of struck me that they haven't really got any great players. There's not really standout players. They've got some good players, but that is exactly what I was thinking, what Matt said, in the sense of that has got to be one of the games they've got earmarked for points, because you can guarantee, like as you've said, it's the Tottenham game coming up, so otherwise will now be known as Jed Spence's Tottenham debut. Because it's coming. It's absolutely coming. Yeah, you can't. It's going to be a tough division, and you don't want it to be them kind of like week after week after week of getting no points, because that in itself breeds that kind of attitude as well, doesn't it? So fingers crossed they can kind of pick something up this weekend, and they've got experience of teams of that similar level. Because Everton have just fallen off a cliff, haven't they, in the last sort of 2 or 3 seasons, particularly. They were up thereabouts where West Ham have been the last couple of years, and they just seem to have swapped places.
Well, it's like Carlo Ancelotti left, and then it just seemed to be like a house of cards kind of thing. It's just...
I was going to say the exact same thing. Him leaving to take up the Real Madrid post just set an implosion in place, really, with that. So that's our top flight business done for another week. We drop down to the doldrums known as Berkshire. I would know. I lived there for a few years. Is Reading taking on Middlesbrough? I'm sure in some positions this is the Paul Williams derby of some kind, but we'll just sort of go to that. Obviously, it's my team, so I'll give my prediction last. Mr. Cook, what have we got?
Reading 0. Borough 1. Fours to score.
Like it. I like it. Mr. Moore.
I made this prediction before Reading's result tonight, but I'm going to stick with it. I've gone for a 3-0 Borough win.
We may or may not hear a similar score very shortly. Scorers, please.
I've changed these. Fours, Jones and McNair. I've crossed out Akpom, Hoppe and Crooks. Just
Crooks did get on. He did get on the pitch tonight at the end of the game, so I think the idea is to bring him slowly but surely back into the squad in an attempt to get him back to fitness. Mr. Woodmansey.
I just want to make sure Matt has he was the person that filled up that cup, and he knows full well what's in there. 3-0. You like what? I too put this down before I saw Reading's annihilation of Blackburn in the midweek game, and I've gone for a 1-0 Middlesbrough win, much like Mr. Cook. However, I've gone for McGree to score that goal.
Interesting. One thing I didn't mention in the Stoke roundup was that McGree was playing in a slightly different position tonight, and looked a completely different player from his first games for his first outings of the season. He looked as if he was playing in just behind the front striker, and he looked like he absolutely bossed it. So I don't know if it's just a case of he's sort of been the unfortunate one who's been asked to sort of replicate the running that Tavernier used to do in that position, and it's just not really his game. But tonight he looked a much better player in a much more comfortable position. So I think there's definitely more to come from Mr. McGree. I agree with Matt. I've gone for a 3-0 away win. This again was taken before they annihilated the only team with a 100% record in the division. I've gone for Force to get 2 and Akpom to get the other one. Obviously, I don't know if it's going to be a case that he's even going to be fit in time for the weekend, but if not, he might only come on at the end. He might get one towards the end, so we'll see. We take a trip to the West Midlands, and we see West Bromwich Albion taking on Hull City, otherwise known as the Brinton Woodmansey derby, I believe. I'll jump straight in here. I have gone for West Brom to get the win here. A top 6 contender, really. I mean, Hull are potentially a top 6 contender themselves with how they've started the season. But I do think West Brom might just have a little bit too much for Hull. So I've gone for a 2-0 West Brom win with Grant and Wallace to get the 2 goals. Mr. Mutt?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Interesting. Your goal scorers, please.
Grant for West Bromwich Albion.
Yes.
And Tufan for Hull.
Have they started chanting that yet when he scores?
I think it'll be the Tom Eaves fans that will adopt that if they do. I haven't noticed it.
Mr. Cook?
No surprises. The Women's Basketball Association will not be scoring in this game, but Hull City will be putting 1 in the back of the net. I'm not sure of the status of old Long Man, but I need him to start banging in goals. What is this, Stuart? What's all this?
He's still visiting that physio's bench, so I'd maybe go for somebody else.
Well, the other person that I'd picked for this game then decided to get a hamstring injury, so I was like, you have to put somebody down.
You can always get him out, Andy. You know what to get out right now.
The Tutters.
For those not watching the YouTube feed, do yourselves a favour, log on, just have a look at Andy's. It was beautiful to see. As I was rudely talking over the situation now, I believe I missed Andy's goal scorer.
Estupinian. Yeah, I was close.
Go on then, sir. How was it going down?
So, you know how I mentioned that we're unbeaten in the league so far? And you know how even after the midweek games this week, West Brom still haven't won a game.
Still had a Borough, yeah.
And you also know that their manager is Steve Bruce. So,
of course, old boy rule. But he can't score.
Well, he can't score, but clearly West Brom are going to win 1-0, and I've got Grant to score the goal. I would have picked Livermore just for the double whammy, but I think that would just break my heart completely. So, no.
Honestly, if he ever scores, I think the world might spontaneously combust, because not only is he a horrifically bad footballer, he plays in a position where he should never score. So,
he went, and it's very well documented, he went through the roughest time in his entire life whilst he was playing for Hull, and he never ever let the club down once, and they really looked after him through some really horrible, dark stuff. So yeah. I will not have a bad word said against Jacob anymore, because he isn't a horrible footballer.
I absolutely agree with you, but he's a terrible footballer. I have never seen him have a good game. And how Gareth Southgate consistently picked him to start in England's midfield is an absolute joke.
I mean,
that's a topic of conversation for another time.
England was a stretch, but he played very well when he played for Hull, and I was disappointed to see him go. But having seen him play for West Brom, I can understand why Hull let him go. Put it that way. But it was good for us, and that's what matters to me. So.
Well, quite. Our last game of the week takes us on a trip to Cleethorpes. No, we're not going to Pleasure Island, which I'm pretty sure hasn't been open for about 25 years.
That's what she said.
Oh my! It is the last man standing from our podcast perspective in the Carabao Cup this season, where Nottingham Forest joined the party at the second round stage, and will take on Grimsby Town. I'll jump in on this one. I have gone for a 3-1 Nottingham Forest win, with Maguire Drew to get the goal for Grimsby, and then 2 goals from Surridge, and the debut goal for Mr. Emmanuel Dennis. Andy, what have you got on this?
2-0 to Forest.
0-2. Goal scorers?
Lingard. And I know I've rolled it out previously to lukewarm reception, but Taylor.
Can't believe I didn't pick Taylor for this one. It's got his name written all over it, hasn't it? To be honest with you, Stu.
I hastily checked the subs bench and rated it accordingly, because there will be changes. I'm pretty sure of it. So I've gone 2-0 Forest, and I too have gone Taylor and Mighton.
Mighton, of course. Mighty Mighton. Go on then, Matt. Let us know what's going on then. I'm assuming you're going to this, clearly, so...
It's so close. It's sold out, apparently, as well. It's sold out in an afternoon today.
Probably just a 5 hours round trip for you there, or something.
I know that, and to be fair, if Grimsby or Cleethorpes it's sneakily not that far away from Nottingham, so a lot of Forest fans will probably go. It's kind of sneaky close. Yeah. I've gone for a 2-0 Forest win. Like Stu said, I think there'll be a lot of changes. I hope there'll be a lot of changes.
Well, they've got the squad for it now, so...
Grimsby's not the sort of place to go your first team either. Let's be fair. They're going to go and kick lumps out of folks, so they'll be taking it old school, I would suggest.
So I've gone Surridge and Taylor to score.
Nice. So, strangely enough, we've all gone for either Surridge or Taylor to score in our predictions. And we've all gone for Forest to win by 2 clear goals. That, my friends, is the closing of the book, which brings an end to this week's festivities. I want to thank these gentlemen for joining me in discussing the world of football. I don't think I've left anything out. I don't think a women's team's won anything this week that I've just glossed over like an absolute dick. Obviously, like I said at the start, if we can't do anything else, we can always laugh at Man United. 2 games played, 6 goals conceded, 1 scored, bottom of the Premier League. Their worst start in 100 years, I believe.
I've very much enjoyed the text from my friend, so shout out Chris Martin, not that one, on Saturday night that said, did you know that technically Hull are only 1 place below Man United in the league tables now? I was like, I'll take that.
Well, how can that be? Because the Premier League's its own sort of separate entity, isn't it?
In the football rankings of all of England.
I don't understand though. The Premier League is.
But clearly, the Middlesbrough fan won't understand the top end of the rankings. But we'll
Ooh.
Oh, it's a marathon, not a sprint, Chief. Let's reassess this in December time or something.
Mate, next week will be 5 when we get absolutely smashed at West Brom.
But yes, thank you once again, gents, for joining me, and to all you listeners and watchers, and dare I say, hopefully subscribers. We'll see you again in about 7 days' time. Until then, you stay classy, planet Earth.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another week of games gone. Another week of games to look forward to. Season's well underway now. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Share around if you've got a friend and they're into football. It might not be this football, but it might be football in general. Give them a shout. Let them know about the podcast. See what they think. They might love it. You can also check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There's social media links and an email button. You can get in touch with us. Let us know which team you support and what you think they're going to do this season. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.